Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
We are going to crank another Brand Doctor Podcast episode live with a very special guest. Super excited to introduce to you this young buck.
I wouldn't say young. I wish.
Man. My man, Pradeep Sangha, what's shaking, my friend?
Hey, how are you, man? Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Dude, we are absolutely crunched. So real quick about Pradeep, I'm going to let him do his official intro, but Pradeep is a Brand Accelerator client, and he's been a client now for like about 3-4 weeks now. And man, what we've unraveled and uncovered with this gentleman is just unbelievable. So I want to give you huge props for that. I cannot wait to get really diving into the design and the identity of your project. That's number one. But number two, you have a very unique backstory, and I want to dive into that. And I always ask my guests, first and foremost, why did you create your brand in the first place?
Okay. Good question. Now that I think about it, it's that moment. So, we talked about what my background was. I was in the corporate world for a long time. I actually led a marketing division as well. And as obviously brand is one of the biggest things when it comes to business success and exposure. So for me, it goes back to that moment when I literally was a kid. I think it was around 7 or 8 years old. I always wanted to be a business owner. And don't ask me why. Honestly, I have no clue why. I just had this vision that I wanted to be a business owner and I wanted to help people. And that stuck with me for my entire life. But then I kind of got stuck in the corporate world and, was doing my thing there. It was very successful, but it just wasn't very fulfilling for me. And I was rocking it. I had everything going for me. And then one day I literally just woke up and said, this isn't for me. And immediately, after I made that decision, I quit. Everybody thought I was crazy. And I said, oh crap, what do I do now? And then I knew immediately, the first thing that kind of came into my mind was, I need to brand myself. I need to know, or I need to let people know who I am and what I have to offer and how that can change their business and their lives. And without having a brand, without having a voice, I knew I was dead in the water because, we talked about this. Brand loyalty has dropped significantly. Unless you have a strong brand, your chances of being successful in business are diminishing as each day goes by. So I jumped on it.
Yeah. No, I think you did the right thing. And the reason I want to dig a little deeper in some of your background and your history, like there was a conversation that we had previously about you being in charge of 50 workers on your parents' farm, and you were 15 years old.
Yeah, actually, and this actually wasn't even my parents' farm. It was someone we knew that wanted me to work for them.
Oh, I thought it was your parents' farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here you are, 15 years old. You're in charge of 50 people.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the one thing that really stuck out to me was your work ethic and how you were explaining to me that a lot of the positions that you held in your corporate life, you just dominated them. You crushed them. Like you were always the top of class. You were always the top of the department, if you will. And you were like, something finally clicked with you and you were like, you know what? I'm doing this for everyone else. I need to do this for myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of our listeners out there feel the same way, where they may be on the verge of taking the dive into entrepreneurship and they're just maybe a little bit afraid and they don't feel like they have that confidence. And I know in your practice, you do a lot of mindset stuff. So, let's start here. Like for those folks that are getting ready to create a brand of their own, how do we get over some of those mental blocks?
Yeah, you're going to love this. Just do it.
Just do it.
Literally, just pull the trigger. Don't even think about it. If I go back to that time when I made that decision, had I thought about it, I probably would have convinced myself otherwise. And, like I said, it wasn't easy for the first few months. And even 6 months, maybe even up to a year, things were just all over the place. Things would look good and then they would kind of come down a little bit. But it was that decision that really changed my life. And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Even before.
Well, I was just going to say, you asked me about my background and leading people. It really goes back to what my parents taught me, because my parents came here as immigrants. They literally came here with $50 in their pocket, and they had nothing else except for their work ethic. And that's something that they ingrained in me, especially my mom. My dad was a little bit more laid back. But my mom always taught me, work harder than everybody else. And she also said one phrase that sticks with me day in and day out. She said, God gave you a brain and 2 hands. Use them. And man, that just, everything that comes my way, whatever challenge it is, that's something I always think about. I got a brain, 2 hands. How do I tackle it? So for people out there, and trust me, it was, even for people, like, if I take a look at my situation, I had everything set in my career path. Everything was golden for me. Yet it wasn't fulfilling me. I knew inside that something wasn't right. And it was like that for years, but then it just kind of festered up. And it was almost like a volcano just boom, just popped. And I literally just didn't even think, just made a decision and acted.
I love it. I mean, that's how people make things. I mean, you have to do it. Like, there's no other way. Like, we could sit here and consult and strategize and do all of this stuff until we're purple, but until we pull the trigger, it's so funny. I'll give you a quick example. And some of you guys may saw this on my Facebook page yesterday. So my cousin and I went to the gun range, and we blew off a couple of rounds.
I saw that. That was wicked.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, there were some big guns we were playing with. And I'm not going to lie. There was a couple. So when he put in a 357 Magnum round into this gun, he was like, there's going to be a distinct difference between the way this gun feels after you shoot it and the other 2 guns that we shot. And sure shit, when I pulled that trigger, it was like, boom. And I'm not going to lie. Before I pulled that trigger, I was sweating. Like I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. And yeah. I remember saying to myself, well, maybe I just don't shoot that gun. Maybe I just don't shoot that gun. And then I said to myself, when's the next time I'm going to be at this range? And I said, I'm shooting the gun. Yeah. And and I'm not going to wuss out. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm going to get hit in the head with a bullet shell. You know what I mean? Like with a shell or whatever. I'm going to burn my finger on the barrel, whatever. And I shot the gun and I was like, okay, over it. And then boom, I started shooting like crazy. And that happened to be my favorite gun that I shot because
that's cool.
It was a different experience completely. And it's a silly story, but that is the literal sense of pulling the trigger and just making it happen. And so the next thing that I want to talk about is sort of your expertise. So as we are diving into your brand and developing your brand, one of the things that we pulled out was that, and I'm a huge, I'll be a testimonial for you. You really know what you're talking about when it comes to building a super fan sort of super fans for your business or your brand. And it's not just the fans that are outside. One of the things that you told me was like, it's not necessarily just your outside audience that you want to create raving fans with. It's the people inside as well. So if you run a small business or if you have a virtual team, it's or creating a super fan base with your existing customers. Like a lot of that gets overlooked because that's all we want 9 times out of 10 is thousands of people to think that we're important and to listen to us or watch us. But can you talk to me a little bit about the inside of building a raving fan base or super fan base?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that you touched on, Henry, was most business owners, this is where the challenge comes in, and this is more of a mental thing. Most business owners are looking at the profit, and that's what they're aiming for. Their goal is to make money. But there's a Harvard professor that actually did a great job that talked about the goal/function of a business, which should always be to create raving superfans. That should be the function of your business. If you're in business, that should be your number one goal, is to get as many raving superfans as you can. The outcome of that is making money. If you have people raving about you, if you have clients that are loyal, if you have clients that refer, that are willing to pay more, and that continuously buy or purchase off you, you will make money regardless. There's no way you can't.
So most people have it ass backwards.
They have it backwards. Yeah. They're too focused. When we talk about, what you focus on is what you achieve. Yeah, if you're just focused on money, yeah, you can make a lot of money, but you may be losing clients on the back end that will get you long-term success. And that's what it's really about. And how many times, if we take a look at it from the inside, I have a formula that I use. I talk about the strategy, I talk about the systems, and then I talk about the people, which is really the culture. And that's what we're talking about. How many times have we gone to a place, whether it's a retail store or a gas station or whatever it is, and you walk in there and the person sitting, across or on the other side of the counter does not look like they're happy to be there. Like they want to be doing everything else but be there. What does that make you feel like as a client or a customer? You don't feel valued. So what are the chances you're going to go back there? What are the chances you're going to purchase again? What are the chances you're going to be loyal? And forget about that. We know, being in business, if you're good at what you do, you should be charging a premium for it, because if you're the best of the best, you know what? You deserve to charge a premium, because that's, you pay for what you get. But if your experience doesn't align with that, you can't charge. You could be the best, brander in the world. And I can say this because I've gone through your experience, and I'm one of your super fans. Is if you had a crappy process, if you were just just not a happy camper, but you were the best brander on the earth, it still wouldn't matter to me. I wouldn't come back to you. I wouldn't be referring you or recommending you to anybody.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because one of the things that I look at when I help people brand their reputations, and I'm looking at branding my reputation on a consistent basis, it's what's that one thing that someone can't duplicate from you, right? And for me, it's my enthusiasm. Like, and I didn't make this up. I mean, people have told me the energy that comes out of you when you step in the room is different from everybody else. And so I said to myself, all right, what do I do with that energy? What do I do with that enthusiasm? And that's video, that's podcast, that's blogging, that's my emails every day, and so getting out that enthusiasm and starting to build that reputation. So for those of you that are watching and listening, I want you guys to ask yourself, like, what's that one thing about me that no one can duplicate? And I want you to go in on that 1,000%, because that's one thing that Pradeep just mentioned, is like, you could be the best thing you could be the best in whatever it is that you do. But if you're a prick, or you don't have the energy, or you don't have that whatever that your audience is looking for, that they can connect and resonate with, you're going to be passed up. And so understanding that's like so important. I can't explain it, you know?
Yeah, you're totally bang on, because when it comes to that, the number one factor for creating superfans is that emotional connection. So whatever it is, if you're charismatic, I'm not necessarily one of those out there guys, but when I'm with my clients know that I care about them 110%. I will go to the ends of the earth with them, and they know that. So that's what they get from me. For someone else, it might be charisma. For someone else, it could be someone that's funny. So you're absolutely right. Find that one thing, put it out there, and get people to connect with you on that emotional level, because that's what really drives and creates superfans.
Yeah. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper, because I think that's a part that a lot of people either get stumped on, or they don't find it to be important because they're either focusing on the dollars and cents or the conversions or the open rates or all this. I call it nonsense, when they should really be focusing in on things that they have pure control over. You don't have control over open rates, sales quotas. You don't, but what do you have the power to do is create awesome content, create an emotional connection, right? And so in your words, how does one focus on that?
Focus on it? I would say truly care about your clients. So I think that's what it really comes down to. If you truly care about your clients and have a genuine, and it goes past that too, it's having a genuine interest in your clients. When you have, it's one thing to care. I think we all care about our clients to a degree, but when you have that genuine interest, you're able to find out those things that other businesses don't find out. And it's those little things that make a huge difference on connecting on an emotional level. And I'll share an example here.
Please.
It's because we have 2 young kids, and I know you have a youngin' too. So, that's kind of our world right now. So having 2 kids, 4 and 2 years old, my wife was super fit before she had kids. And now she's, back into the mode of going to the gym and working out and trying to get her pre-baby body back. And, she's joined a couple of gyms, but she's finally found the one that she loves. And here's what they did. They actually found out when she signed up, they actually went online. They found up a little bit about her. They did a little bit of creeping, but they were able to talk to her about, some of her background. But here's what it is. I say it's know your client's story. Because here's the difference. She goes, prior to that, she had gone to a gym, and they didn't know anything about her aside from her coming in. She would work out and she would leave. And she's a pretty girl, so people notice that as well. Well, when you know a client's story, here's my wife's story. She's a beautiful woman. She was very fit. She had 2 kids. Now she's a mother of 2 children trying to get fit again and balance everything in her life. That's her story. And that's what this new place has been able to connect with her on. Do you see the difference there?
Powerful. Yeah.
Powerful.
I mean, They took the time. They took the effort.
Yeah.
You said something to me on a previous call that really hit me. You were like, ask your clients if they have any pets. And if they have pets, maybe grab the name of their pets, right? It sounds so like, who the hell cares, right? But then you made me realize the importance of that. Because you said, maybe you send them a little card in the mail, or you send a dog collar to the pet, right? And then sign it you. You know what I mean? That goes such a long way. Like, I just remember all the times where I would get something in the mail. I have a client that I refer quite a bit of business to because he's just a solid guy. And every time I do that, I'll get a Starbucks gift card in the mail. He sent me a T-shirt the one day. He sent me just all these little things, unexpected. And that goes such a long way. And that shows how much you care. I mean,
absolutely.
It's out caring the competition. I've said it 1,000 times in the past, but when you really get to know your client story, it unravels a lot, and then there's a lot for you to play with. And it's been a pleasure working with you inside the Brand Accelerator program, basically understanding your backstory and how that's all coming around and being used to create your brand's identity. And it's just an amazing process. And that's the best part about my job. I'm not going to lie. Like, no two clients are the same ever. And that just makes, and that just makes it so much more exciting, And so I want to get to this question before we run out of time, because it's time is just flying. I can talk to you for hours about this stuff. But in your industry right now, there's got to be something that's grinding your gears. And so my question is, what's one of the biggest pet peeves you got right now inside your industry that's just, you know what I mean? Just grinding you up.
Yeah, I got two. So I'll start with the bigger one. The bigger one is all of these guys and gals that are really hammering business owners about marketing. The fly-by-night marketing piece. And I agree that every business has to be, up there when it comes to their marketing. Their marketing definitely has to be up there, especially when you're a new business. You have to have a brand. You have to have the right marketing strategy. But when the comment is made is when they say that marketing is what basically determines your success for a business. That's what really bugs me. And you know that, and I know that, because getting a client is one thing. Keeping a client is a whole other story. Right? It's like getting married is easy. Staying married is not so easy. So that's what bugs me the most, is when these guys say, all you need to do is market. No, marketing is absolutely important. You have to be good at marketing. But it's not the only thing that's going to keep you in business. There's a whole other side to it, which I would say is like, 70% of your business that you need to focus on to get, make sure your clients are happy, make sure that they keep coming back, making sure that they refer, making sure that your teams are happy.
Yeah, I feel like when you work on that stuff, that's like the roots of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the roots of it all. If you have a team that will jump in the foxhole with you, if you have clients that will go to bat for you when shit's hitting the fan, you know what I mean? Like, that's powerful. That's brand. That's reputation. That's, and it was funny. I told this story a while back with my uncle, right? My uncle runs like a $200 million construction company up here in northern New Jersey. And this was a few years back, but I was working at the hospital few years. We're almost a decade. It was a while back. And it was funny. He was building the children's hospital at the hospital I was working at, right? So my office had a window. And I looked out the window and I see him rolling up the street in his black Range Rover, and I knew exactly it was him. So he pulls over to the side. He gets out in this Brioni suit. I mean, it was probably $5-6 grand, right? And I see him walk over to one of the guys that was running an excavator. It's one of the big machines that digs like deep holes, right? They use them for like foundation work, right? Mm-hmm. So he runs over and he's standing there. God knows how much his shoes cost, but he's standing there in dirt with these shoes and this freaking Brioni suit, talking to this guy in the excavator, and he pulls the guy off the excavator, gets in the freaking excavator, and starts showing the guy how to dig the hole. And now I'm sitting there glued to the window. I can't believe this is going on. But he did it in a way. He shook the guy's hand after he got off the machine. Now, the rest of the workers that have now formed this like line, and they're just watching this go down. And what just happened just there? Right? And the guy that he called off the machine, he wasn't like from what I looked like, the way he shook that guy's hand, there was no embarrassment there. It was, this is how we need to do it, and I'm going to show you how. And he did. And like, that just created a whole bunch of respect on that job site that day. And I'm sitting in there thinking, I was probably, I don't know, I was 26 years old, 24 years old at the time. And I'm in the window. Nobody can see me. And I'm going, yeah. Like that. That's my uncle. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's what's up. And so like those little statements like that go a long way. And I think that's a powerful move right there for any entrepreneur that's trying to create a raving fan base. Is let's just cut the shit right now. It's not what you say, it's what you do.
Absolutely, hands down, man. I'm with you there.
Right? Like, there's so much, and now you're getting me fired up because I see these marketing people targeting me on Facebook all day long too. And it's kind of annoying. Like, if I see one more person that says, watch how I made $100,000 in 6 days, I'm just going to throw my computer out the freaking window. Right? But the point is, it's, dude, show me. Stop talking. Like, if it, you know, like enough's enough already. And I'm telling you right now, this new Facebook algorithm that's rolling out where they want to bring it back. You and I talked about this. Facebook wants to bring it back to like people connection and engagement and, you know, the way Facebook was launched. They want to bring it. Dude, these people ain't going to last 2 seconds because they're not focusing in on that. They're focusing in on how can I sell these people?
Exactly. You know that old saying? What is it? How does it go? No one cares about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Boom.
Yeah, show me that you care, that you actually care about me as a human being, and I'll give you my business. If I don't feel that, then there's no chance.
At all. At all. So it's like refocusing your attention on the right things, showing and proving that you're actually competent in what you do. Right? And listen, we all have our ups and downs. We all have our good days and bad days. I get it. But I want to see the person that gets out there every single day and drops bombs. In a good way. You know what I mean? Like drops value bombs. I should say value bombs.
Not F-bombs, yeah.
Yeah, not F, you know, on their social media platforms, you know, to their audiences, to their internal teams. You know what I mean? I had a crazy day Friday morning and I woke up and I was pretty pissed off. I'm not going to lie. And when I got on that team call, my team says to me, Henry, we see you're upset. Chill. We got you. There's enough of us here now that could get this taken care of for you. Just chill. You're going to be all right. And they walked me off the ledge. And like, I got off that call and I was like almost in tears, bro. I'm not going to lie, because I was like, these people really care about me. You know, and I kept telling them on the call, listen, my frustration, my anger is not directed at any individual here. It's actually directed at myself. I said, because it's my response. This is my brand. This is my business. I'm responsible for this, you know, so maybe I'm not being clear enough. Maybe my system or process needs to be refined. Maybe I need to do something different on the next project. Right. So I'm going to make sure that happens. But you know, and they were like, we got you. It's maybe, and then they explained to me what the issue was. And it really wasn't, it was part process, but it was part, the other side, you know, the clients and getting the deliverables from the clients on time and stuff like that. So, you know, but I said, it all comes back down to us and our reputation. I get out there and I speak a big game. I'm not cheap. I'm not. And so when people pay, right. And when people pay that kind of money, they want to be treated a certain way. They want things to be taken care of a certain way. And so when I see things get bottlenecked, I say to myself, if I was paying that kind of money, would I want this to happen? And I said, we need to change some things up. And so the good news is we saw where the bottleneck was and we fixed it. So now the next person that comes through the program, it's okay. This is a smooth transition now because we're going to have everything we need prior to launch. You know what I mean? So it's just those things. It's just building that reputation about that caring. Like how much do you really care about your clients? Is it about the dollar amount? Do you really care? And people will see that from a mile away, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Especially these days, authenticity. We've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more prevalent.
You don't have the wiggle room like you used to.
No.
Right? Because there's
People
19 other yeah, and there's 19 other branders out there, or there's 19 other coaches out there that are saying that they could do the same thing you do. So listen, if I'm not going to get treated with respect, or if I'm not going to get my money's worth here, goodbye.
Yeah.
And they won't even tell you. They'll just leave.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to pay attention to. What are they saying behind your back?
Oh, yeah. Hey, unsatisfied customers, you know how many people they tell? They tell 20 people on average. How
20.
unsatisfied? Yeah, on average.
And how many people do they tell if they had a good experience?
Get this. It's actually 10. So, okay. But with social media, it multiplies. But, I think this is something that we really have to take to heart. If you're not able to execute on that experience and create that super fan, you have some pretty high chances that they're going to go out there and complain their asses off about you.
Yeah.
And then it's going to spread like wildfire. And we're seeing that today. We see that in social media all the time. Look what happened with United Airlines, right?
Yeah, they got hosed. They got hosed. And I'm still seeing funny memes about that stuff. And it's been months.
I know. I laugh my butt off every time I see that.
It's been months. So let's go a little tactical for a second. When we look at, and I hate going tactical. I really do, because we can talk about tactics all day long. 95% of these people, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but they're not going to do it. But let's just give them the juice anyway. And those people that are watching and listening that do have the balls to do it, that they do it. So when you are building a super fan base, let's look at just 3 key points that you should be spending your time on to reap the rewards and reap the results that you're looking to get out of building your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say number 1 is focus. If I were to walk through your company, or anybody to walk through your business, and they talk to your staff and ask them, hey, what's the most important thing? And if that answer isn't making our client happy, then you got some challenges there. Because every single person's role at the end of the day, whether you're dealing with the client directly or indirectly, your job is to make that client happy. So when I take a look at that, the first thing I take a look at is the strategy. Is that a big focus for your organization? If it's not, got to make it a focus. So that's number 1. Number 2, in order for your clients to be happy, your staff have to be happy. It's a must. It's a non-negotiable. So are your teams engaged? Is the culture there to create superfans? Do you have the right system in place where everybody understands, okay, what you're there to represent, what the business represents, what your vision is as a leader? So that's really coming down to the culture side of your business. So create superfan employees is what I would say is number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is take a look at your systems. So when I mean systems, take a look at your technology and your processes. Because that is, if I learned anything at all that was worthwhile over my years, is, I spent a lot of time learning a methodology called Lean, which originated in Japan. And that's what the Japanese auto manufacturers use for basically producing their automobiles. And if you took a look at the history of auto manufacturing, the Asian, or specifically Japan, had overtaken the North American auto manufacturers a couple of decades ago. And it's all because of this methodology. They had their systems in place.
What's
And
lean stand for?
it just stands for being lean, basically removing everything that's not lean.
Oh, being lean and mean. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was like
crazy.
an acronym.
Yeah, and I went to Japan, I went to Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, and I can't even express how incredible their shops are, because they have parts coming to them within a certain window. Like it's like a 30-second window that as they're working on this machine, this friggin' robot will pull up beside them and give them parts. It's crazy.
Stop.
Yeah, it's nuts. But the whole thing that I got out of that is take a look at your processes in your system and look at it from the eyes of your client. If your client doesn't perceive it of value, get rid of it or minimize it. And that is absolutely essential today. And I'm actually going to do a talk later on this week about it, where it's called Amazon Ate Your Lunch. But Amazon's a master of that because they've streamlined everything. I can literally go on. I don't even have to search for stuff. They're throwing me stuff I need to buy. And I hit one click and it's done. And it's sent to my house the next day. Frictionless. So get your system streamlined to be frictionless. So those are the three things I would say. Focus on creating superfans. Get your employees to be your superfans first and create that superfan culture internally. And 3, get your systems, your technology, and your processes in place. And if you do those 3 things, you're golden.
Yeah, I think you hit upon those are the 3 biggies, above everything else. I mean, people are so worried about their funnel and their I see these crazy, we're in all these groups together, right, Pradeep? And like we're in all these groups and people are asking the craziest questions. Like, can you look at my call to action button on my ad, or can I do that? And I'm like, nobody cares. Like, that's not it. Like, you're focusing in on the wrong stuff.
Yeah,
like, yes,
exactly.
but like, what's the big picture here? And it's funny. I had a strategy call this morning with one of my clients in the UK, and he wanted me to look at. He's getting his website designed by his team, right? He's got a big team that he works with, right? And he's showing me the design that they came up with, and I'm giving him some honest feedback, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, dude, we need to revamp this whole thing because I'm not getting that emotion. I'm not getting that interaction that I want. I mean, you have a beautiful high-end product here and I don't feel it. And so I dove in and I said, listen, we need to get that straightened out before anything else. Because again, it's that emotional connection. You got 3 seconds. You talked about windows. They got 3 seconds when you hit somebody's site, whether or not you're going to be like, boom or not. I want to read more. Right. And if you miss that window, you're done. Like, you're done. And so it's so important to think that way. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. It's that big picture thinking. Is this really important?
Yeah. And it's a long-term thinking more than anything.
Right. Like, is this going to make tomorrow easier?
Yeah. And I think especially with newer entrepreneurs, and I've been there, so I feel for everybody in that position, is you're so caught up in that, building the business and trying to make ends meet and, put, food on the table and get some money rolling in, that you got to think a little bit long-term as well.
Yeah.
You got to think about, okay, how do I get a client today, but how do I keep that client? How do I make sure that client's still with me in 10 years? Because otherwise you're just you're spinning the wheel. And that's what I see a lot of these entrepreneurs doing, is just they keep spinning the wheel because they think that the golden ticket is getting you clients.
Well, what did I say? It's a lot easier to market to an existing client than a new client, and it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
the stats on that? It's 50% of your marketing dollars are basically, they're thrown out in the garbage. And 25% of those people that you market to, that you actually get some attention from, 25% are somewhat likely to purchase. Whereas if you have an existing client, and so let's just say a satisfied client, you're up to 82%. They're likely to repurchase.
Okay.
And if you create a super fan, you're almost up to 100%. So take a look at the numbers there, 25 to 100%. Where do you focus on?
And a buyer's a buyer's a buyer, right? Look at your own buying experiences. Like when I buy, so like we just did some renovations in the house, right? We started with the basement floor. Then all of a sudden we did the roof. We did the ceiling. And then 2 weeks later they went upstairs and they did my whole floor, my entire second floor. And now I'm like, this kitchen is looking a little, and so I'm kind of, and like, that's it, right? So like, what are some things that you can create to keep that conversation going? One of the things that we implemented in 2018 with a lot of my clients that went through the Branding on Demand program and the Brand Accelerator program was, what happens after we build everything? What kind of maintenance programs do we have? Last year we didn't have any. And now this year we do. And it's a very straightforward 3-tier, this, and this. Where do you want to plug in? And we'll take care of your website maintenance. All you need to do is focus on what you're good at, I don't want you fiddling inside of WordPress trying to redo stuff. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So things like that, right? Just how do you keep them involved? And like the subscription model, we've been talking about this a lot. The subscription model. How do we get what can we sell on a recurring basis over and over and over again to help people grow?
And when and say, Henry, when you have super fans, they beg you for additional products. They ask you, hey, look, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Will you?
What else can I buy?
Yeah, exactly. That's the magic of it.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse today, but focusing in on your internal stuff is just as important as focusing in on your external stuff. And when you want to build raving fans, you truly have to be authentic with them, and just share your true feeling towards them. I had a client the other day, things sort of unraveled, at the last 5 feet of her project. And I said to her, blank, I said, ask yourself a question. Do you really think that I want to do these things to slow down the launch of your site? Like, do you think I'm what would I benefit from by purposely not getting these things done? It doesn't make sense. So I said, I'm just as anxious and excited to launch your site as you are, but there's some things that need to still be done, and we need to get those things done. So we can complain about it, or we can make it happen.
Absolutely.
And what's going to get us a better outcome? So again, it's just being upfront with them and saying, all right, we see it. We see a little bottleneck here. How do we fix it? How do we launch? I'm very results oriented. That has a lot to do with your brand. When we were building out your brand attributes, that word kept coming up a lot. Results oriented. I want to take my clients from 5 million a year to 10 million a year. I want to get my clients to work with, 10,000 people next year versus the 5,000. They want to, you working with that construction company guy, right?
Yep.
You were telling me about him, and I was like, Pradeep's going to do it because he's got the right systems. He's got the right process. He's got the right mindset. And that's how things are going. That's how he's going to get those people the results that they want. And so I can't thank you enough for spending, 48 minutes with us today, just sharing these points, because it's so valuable, yet so overlooked. That if you want to create, super fans, right, then be the super fan that you want.
Absolutely. Bingo. You just nailed it.
Right?
And it's the easiest thing to do. It's not, sorry, let me just take that back. It takes some work, but it's not like rocket science.
No. No. You want better clients? Be a better business owner.
Exactly. Pretty simple, isn't it?
What else is there to do? You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Well, you asked me, sorry, I'm gonna kind of jump in there a little bit.
Please.
But you asked me, my pet peeves, and that's my second pet peeves, is business owners that don't realize that. Because it's such a powerful thing that can improve their business, yet they're so narrow-minded on the profit that they can't see beyond that. To know that, when they say the extra 10% can give you another 80% in results, well, that's so true.
So focusing on being an awesome person, an awesome entrepreneur, an awesome vendor, an awesome fill in the blank, your product or service, and that will eventually work for you. Like, it'll pay you back in spades, and the investment you make in your processes and systems and your coaching, right, is exactly that, an investment. And it's always going to need fine tuning, right? If you don't manage a healthy diet, what happens? You get fat. Right?
I love how you put that.
And the same for your business. If you don't maintain a healthy diet for your business or maintain a user experience that will help you get more clients, get more referrals, create super fans, it's not going to happen. So, dude, we got some big things coming up, you and I, in the next 90 days. I'm super, super excited to sort of open the door, kind of give people a sneak peek. So Pradeep and I, we've connected through the Brand Accelerator program, and I've learned so much about this individual, and the same way goes for him to me. And we said there's got to be something that we can do together. So what we decided to do is create this weekly Facebook Live show. And again, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but between his personality and my personality, we're definitely going to stir a couple pots. And what he does in his business, there's a lot of synergy with what I do in my business. And so he's going to be the Superfans coach. That's what we've branded him to be. And, I'm the brand doctor, so I gotta back my people up, my patients up.
Exactly.
And so what we decided to do is create this weekly sort of show. It'll be 30, 40 minutes, if that. And we're going to be talking about creating and building that super fan base inside and outside on a much deeper level. And I'm going to be talking about all the branding aspects that go along with that, social media engagement and reach and what you need to do to build a great brand reputation. Because it's so funny. I read today, like, when the bigger your reputation, the more people are willing to pay you.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And if you're not raising your standards, if you're not investing in your brand's reputation, then you're going to make X amount of dollars a year, and you're either going to be happy with that number or you're not.
Yeah, exactly. I laugh all the time. My wife loves her purses, and we always have this thing. I'm like, your purse really doesn't cost that much to make, but you're spending a whole lot. So we always have this banter back and forth, but it's all about brand, right?
It's all about brand. And, you just listen, I'm not going to spend 2018 the same way I spent 2017. And I get fired up talking about this, but if you're not trying to make yourself better every year, then what are you doing? And it's a shame because I see people they go through their corporate careers like that, right? They get a job right out of college and they stay in that career for 10 years, right? Dude, I was at the hospital for 8 years and it felt like it was 8 weeks.
Wow.
Imagine I started Unique Designz 8 years prior.
Oh, yeah.
Look out. You know what I mean? We'd be doing this podcast on my boat.
On your boat, yeah, on your yacht, exactly.
And so that's what I'm talking about. And I can't put a gun to people's heads and tell people, this is what you got to do. All I can do is get out here every day with awesome people like you and have you help me get this word out. Because at the end of the day, you're going to blink your eye, you're going to be 90 years old, and you're going to say, shit, I should have done it. I should have done this. I should have done that. Tony
I would have been
Robbins.
there.
Yeah, Tony Robbins says, "Stop shooting all over yourself."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just the truth. So, I'm going on tangents now. So let me wrap this up. If there's one thing that you can give our audience today, if they never got to talk to you again, what would that be?
Oh, I think you might have a hint about this, but whatever it is in life, whether it's being in business, being a musician, whatever it is, follow your passion. Yeah, you live once. You might as well make the most of it. And so if whatever you're doing, you have a passion for, more power to you.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
There you have it, folks. Pradeep Sangha, the super fans coach. There's going to be more to see on Pradeep. Yeah. Pradeep, real quick, where are you on social media? Give them some social media handles where they can go follow you.
Yeah, Instagram, it's at Pradeep Sangha. Twitter, same thing. Facebook, it's Pradeep Sangha.
And it's PURDEEP SAN as in Nancy, G as in Gary, H as in Harry, A as in Apple.
Yeah, you can pretty much find me on every social media channel with my name.
I was just going to say, you have a pretty unique name.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You can't miss him. You can't miss him. Guys, go check him out on social media. He has a great video presence. He's got a great voice. He's a stand-up guy. And that's why I'm going to be doing a lot of business with him in the future. And we're going to be putting some great stuff out there to help you guys take your brands to the next level. I mean, that's what we're here for, guys. So real quick, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, the Brand Doctors Hangout, go on Facebook right now and join the crew. Pradeep's in there every day. I'm in there every day. You're going to learn a lot on how to build a personal brand to help you live the lifestyle that you want to live. And if you haven't shared this podcast yet with a friend or a colleague, I strongly invite you to do that. And I truly appreciate that. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here doing this stuff today. And I just appreciate all the motivation that I've been getting from you guys through PMs and emails and stuff like that. So I appreciate all you guys. And I'm out, and I will catch you on the next episode. Talk soon, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Henry.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.